Hello, this is Erric Solomon. I was supposed to come to the Baltimore Shambhala Center and teach in April, but of course circumstances have changed and I'm locked in my home in France. And I believe many of you are also locked in your homes. And so at the request of some of my friends at the Shambhala Center, I'm doing this video to help us all get through these difficult times. Now, I think that I've been spending a lot of time with friends, family, students on the phone and hearing a lot about what people are going through, how difficult it is for many of us. And I think it's fair to say that a lot of us are experiencing periods of anxiety or panic or deep sadness. I think you'd have to be a stone not to be. And so I'd like to talk today a little bit about what panic is, what anxiety is, and what we can do. And then also, we'll do a guided meditation together while watching the video. Hopefully, I think that if you'll join me, it can make a big, big difference. And even if right now everything's fine, maybe there's something you can take away from this that you can help someone else with. Because, of course, why are we studying this great sublime tradition of Buddha Dharma? It's to be beneficial to others. I mean, panic in itself, or a sense of panic, isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Sometimes there's something going on that needs to come to our attention. But how we deal with panic, that's what's important. That's kind of where the rubber meets the road. Because you can say panic is an energy. It's actually kind of a bodily sensation, a warning, maybe even a possible danger or an extreme situation we need to be on guard about. You know, when we were living in the jungle, maybe there was another animal that thought we might be some kind of food. And so a little bit of anxiety is probably why your ancestors lived so that you could be born today. But now, of course, now if we overreact, we could do something harmful, very selfish, under the guise of kind of self-preservation. Or another way we could respond to panic is to just become so overwhelmed by fear that we literally freeze up and can't think straight or even at all. And I think as we are all watching the world around us, many of us are glued to our computers, reading the internet, reading the news, watching the television, and we're seeing the whole sort of display of human activity, from incredibly selfish behavior, people hoarding vital supplies and profiteering, to unbelievable acts of heroism and bravery, selfless acts for the benefit of others. Especially some of our medical professionals have been unbelievable heroes. I think that's pretty clear. So panic and anxiety is a kind of a wake-up call, and we should take it seriously. But we should try feeling it instead of always just thinking about, just going right into the story, all the reasons for the panic. This means we should notice our bodily sensations. Is the panic, is our heart racing? Can we feel that? Is there a place in the body where the panic or anxiety resides? When we feel panic, instead of thinking about it, when we feel it in our body, instead of thinking about it, then we begin to experience panic beyond our turbulent thoughts and emotions. Panic is an energy. The energy is wisdom's radiance. It's within energy rather than within the story, the churning thoughts and emotions, that we'll find our inner resilience to make it through, to find the appropriate action to take, to be mindful to wash our hands or not touch our face or to check on a sick or elderly neighbor. It's in wisdom's radiance, the heart of panic, that we'll find the self-love, the compassion for others, and the most beneficial thoughts, feelings, and emotions. This reminds me of advice or a teaching I received many, many years ago from one of my teachers, a great master called Nusho Ken Rinpoche. He often used this ancient Dzogchen metaphor when teaching. He told us about how we should treat or work with our own thoughts and emotions. And he said, he would say, are you a lion or a dog? Sounds funny, right, at first. Are you a lion or a dog? He always said that we should be like a lion rather than a dog. Now, he'd explain it like this. When you throw a stone at a dog, what does a dog do? The dog he chases the stone, right? You throw a stone, the dog chases the stone. He plays with the stone, he gets into the stone, he becomes preoccupied with the stone. But isn't that how we are with our thoughts and emotions? Every single thought and emotion that comes, we play with it, we get into it, we chase it, we become it. On the other hand, what if you throw a stone at a lion? I'll tell you one thing right away. The lion doesn't care at all about the stone. The lion immediately looks. Where'd that stone come from? Where's the stone coming from? Now, just leave that for me. I want to talk a little bit about something my main teacher, Tuku Orjin, Kyabje Tuku Orjin Rinpoche said. Kind of changed my life. Really, when I first heard this, I was like, wow. The basis of samsara, basis of our discontentment, samsara, is the constant evaluation of the quality of our experience. The basis of our discontentment, of samsara, cyclic existence, is the constant evaluation of the quality of our experience. This is another way to do the we're just a dog. Now, what does that mean? It's like we always have this little ticker going along the bottom of our screen. You know, just like you're watching CNN, and there's always a little news ticker along the bottom, and it's always telling us how we're doing. And then it says things like, "Ooh, I like that," and then we start thinking about it, and then we think about that thought and that thought and that thought, or we think, "Oh, I don't like that," and we think about that, and we plan about that. Like, for example, I look at my mala here. And I think, oh, I love this mala. It's so nice, these beads. Oh, but you know, now it's so hard. These were so inexpensive. They used to be really, really inexpensive in Nepal. And now I never go to Nepal, almost never. And of course, today it's impossible to get there. I wonder what would have to be very careful about this mala, because I don't want anything to happen to it. I mean, I don't know what I would do if I lost it. I really should be more mindful. I've been so forgetful lately. I've been distracted by the virus and everything. And I can't go to Nepal. I don't even know where I could order one online. The mail's not running very. You see, you start with a present moment sensation. Mala. Nice mala. And what happens? One thought leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, and takes us farther and farther away from the present moment, but more importantly, who we really are. We spend our whole life preoccupied with our stones, our thoughts, our emotions, like a dog chasing stones, right? We may never even think to look at the source of those thoughts and emotions, the mind itself. Where all our stones come from. They come from in our mind. I'm pointing at my head, just comes from my mind. whole life. Actually, from a Buddhist point of view, we'd say countless lifetimes. Our habit doesn't mean thinking is bad, but habitual thinking, the constant chasing of thoughts, emotions, stories that can become this anxious loop, especially when we're provoked. And we spend so much time in the story, never looking, never even thinking to look at the source, the mind itself. Tugorjan used to say, this is another great quote, samsara is mind turned outwardly, lost its projection. Nirvana is mind turned inwardly, realizing its true nature. It's just another way to say lion and dog. So we can always be constantly looking at the projections of mind, the stones. We can begin to look at the source, the mind itself. Of course, Rinpoche says it in a very profound way, the nature of mind itself. Actually, it's the nature of mind, but this is not a philosophy today. So when we feel fearful or panicky, our habit is to think about the story, the reasons why we're panicked, rather than look at the mind that feels the panic. When our mind is very fearful and panicky and anxious and worried, our mind becomes very, very closed and tight. It becomes like a negative feedback loop. When our mind is tight, any thought or emotion that arises will dominate. So fear makes our mind tight. Why? Because we really grasp hard onto the reasons to be fearful. And this shrinks. Our mind is naturally spacious. But we make it tight through grasping. And when we're fearful or panicked, or actually, honestly, desirous, overly excited, ecstatic, we just grasp, and our mind shrinks. So that, in the case of fear, when that happens, it makes the fear even more predominant, even more strong. So, but when our mind feels spacious, the fear or panic can't completely take us over. It's like the difference between, say, a 10-foot by 10-foot room or a 100 by 100-foot room. So in a tiny room, anything you put in there defines the room. So if I go into a small room, I open the door and I see a desk, I think office. Or I see a bed, I think bedroom. Right? Or I see a stove and a sink and a fridge, I think kitchen. My mother in New York lives in a big floor-through loft. It has one small bedroom, but the rest is open. It's 2,500 square feet. And, you look and there's an area where there's a couch and a coffee table, and another area where there's a sink, a refrigerator, and a stove, and another place where there's a big table with chairs. I guess you can eat there. And in the back of the room is my mother's art supplies and canvases and whatever she's working on. But you walk in, you just say loft. You don't say, oh, living room. You don't say, oh, art studio. You don't say kitchen. It's all there in spaciousness. So when we can uncover the natural spacious quality of our mind, then you can have a little panic. There can be a little panic or a little fear, but it doesn't completely define us. It doesn't, if there's information in the panic, like wild animal's going to eat me, or hey, don't step into the street because there's a big truck coming, then good. but it also keeps us from going into the story, into that dysfunctional loop where we may even get to the point where we simply can't think straight. So the first exercise I'd like to do is called creating space. We're going to do two things, but the first one is creating space. And this is in the book I wrote with my old friend Pacho Rinpoche, Radically Happy, A User Guide to the Mind. So if later on you want to refer to it, you can find it there. It's also online. Just Google Erric Solomon Creating Space, and you'll find it. You don't need to buy the book. It's okay. But then this is the first thing, is creating space. So it's a way to put us in touch with the natural spacious quality of our mind, so that we can even have a little bit of looping thought and emotion, but it's in space. It's in a wide open, spacious situation. So I'm going to, oops, I gotta get my bell. I'm gonna ring a bell. And then when you hear, and then I'm going to guide us through this practice. We'll just do it for a few minutes, just to give you a little flavor. And what we're going to do is we're going to consider that the room around us dissolves, and in its place is a wide open, spacious, clear blue sky. And I know many of you are longtime practitioners. So just like if you're, say, practicing meditation where you place your attention on the breath, here we're going to place our attention on the sky. And so if we start to find that we get distracted, just at the moment you notice you're distracted, just bring your attention back to the sky. Just come right back to that visualization of the sky. Okay, so hopefully you're ready. So just sit with me. Close your eyes. It's okay if you want to leave them open too. That's just how it's up to you. But maybe the first time it's easier if you have your eyes closed. I'm going to ring the bell. Now just let the room around you dissolve. Just consider that it begins to fade away. And in its place is a wide open, infinite, spacious, clear blue sky. There's no trees, no buildings, no earth. Above us, below us, all around us is this infinite, immaculate, clear blue sky. And just take a moment and make this sky as vivid and real as you possibly can. Blue, spacious, clear. Not only do you see the sky, but you can feel the spacious quality of the sky. Just allow yourself to feel this wide open, spacious quality of the infinite, clear blue sky that completely surrounds you. tension you might have in your body, just let it begin to dissolve and relax into the spacious feeling of the sky. If you feel anxious or sad, any kind of mental torment that you might have or discomfort, consider that too begins to relax and dissolve into the spacious feeling of the sky. Don't worry if it doesn't completely go away. It's fine, because it's just a little bit of anxiety in the midst of an infinite, wide open, clear, immaculate situation. Just keep coming back again and again to the feeling and the view of this clear blue, wide open, spacious sky. In a moment, I'm going to ring the bell, and when you hear the bell, you can gradually open your eyes and come back into the room. Welcome back. The key thing here is we don't have to fix anything. We don't have to change anything. But by identifying with the sky, with the spaciousness, we're becoming more and more familiar with the spacious quality, the naturally spacious quality of our mind. How do we know our mind is naturally spacious? Because if it wasn't, you couldn't have all these looping thoughts and emotions. Your mind would be blocked. Nothing could come in. It's natural quality of the mind. Anything under the sun and moon can appear in it. Maybe some of you felt your heart begin to open a little bit, or your body relax. I did. So that's step one, to just remember spaciousness. And again, it's okay if you still feel a little panic or anxiety, grief, because spaciousness, we have room for it. I notice when I'm watching a number of things on the web right now, a lot of people are posting their teachings online. It's such an incredible blessing, but at the same time, there's some people tell us, oh, just quiet your mind, or right now in the present moment, there's no need to panic. And I'm like, well, if your dear relative or best friend is lying in the hospital and you can't even go visit them, and it's kind of hard to say right now in the present moment it's all okay. We don't need to fix ourselves. What we need to do is come out of the story and into the feeling. So just like right now, take a moment and look and investigate your mind. How do you know that say if you're panicked, how do you know it? Or you feel anxious, how do you know it? At first, this can seem like such a dumb question because the answer is so obvious. Why did I sit for 20 minutes with this guy just to have him ask me something so completely obvious? That knowing quality of our mind, does it know panic better or worse than it knows when you feel relaxed or peaceful? When you're tired, dull, do you know it? Oh, yes. When you're excited, do you know it? When you're happy, do you know it? When you're sad, do you know it? The more we investigate, the more familiar we become with the aware quality of mind that defines being sentient. The quality of awareness, of knowing that knows panic, isn't different than the quality of knowing peace. The quality when you're really dull and struggling to stay awake and you notice, oh, I'm so sleepy. That knowing of it, the quality of that knowing of it isn't any different. The quality of noticing, hey, I'm wide awake today. I got such a good night's sleep. I'm very with it. We can see, in other words, we can see that our awareness isn't harmed or enhanced by what we're aware of. And for myself, I find this very comforting to be able to see that there's the knowing quality of mind is always the same. So let's turn our attention away from the story and gradually more and more become familiar with the mind, the knower of fear, the knower of panic, the knower of anxiety. In fact, in Tibetan, the word for meditation is gom. Gom means what? It means to become familiar with, to get used to. We're becoming familiar with our own mind through practice, with how it functions, how it really is, how it naturally is, beyond all the turbulent thoughts and emotions. So let's try the next exercise. In this, we're going to start by recalling the spacious feeling that we had before. And then I'll try scanning our body and seeing if we can find this feeling of panic or anxiety or whatever it is we're feeling. I don't know if you can hear this, but my cat is dying to come in here. So I'm going to get up for a moment and let him in, because I think it might be kind of loud. Yeah, hi. His name's Gompo, and he likes to be where the action is. Okay, excuse me. So it's very natural. You're in my home. I'm in yours. Okay, Guy, now you're in. There he is. He's a little shy about social media. He doesn't like to show his face. Okay, so now let's sit quietly. And we're going to start by recalling that spacious feeling and then check in with our body. Feel the sensation of panic or sadness, or maybe it's joy today. And feel that instead of the story. The story's up here, the feeling, the sensation is in the body. So instead of thinking of the reasons for feeling fearful, just feel the sensation of the fear. And when it's a mere sensation, you can call it instead of like an energy, then we're beginning to get closer to experiencing our own wisdom nature. It's the dynamic display is this energy. That energy itself is expression of wisdom. Now, don't worry if today it doesn't all manifest like that, but I think most of you get a little taste. Thing is that I'm giving you something you can do. I actually promise you, if you do this day after day after day in just a short time, because many of you come to the meditation center frequently, so you're a little bit experienced, some of you very experienced, this will just begin to make intuitive sense. So I'm going to ring the bell, and then just for a moment, recall the sky and that spacious feeling of the sky. Again, just feel the sky, feel the openness, the spacious quality of the sky. And now we can scan our body, starting at the top of our head, and slowly bring our attention down till we can find sensation, panic, joy, whatever it is. Just check in, top of your head, the area of around your eyebrows and forehead. Just see how you're doing. Gradually come down. And as you get into the body, slowly, just feel how you feel. Don't go to the story. Just go to the feeling. It's okay if you go to the story a little bit, as long as you just come into the body and feel how you feel. Just feel the sensation, whatever it is. You have a strong emotion, feel it. Don't think about it. Don't stop yourself from thinking about it, but put your attention on the feeling. Just drop into the body. Feel how you feel. Now, this is a kind of self-love. We're giving ourselves the permission and a safe space to feel however it is we feel. We don't have to change anything. We don't have to correct anything. We don't have to fix anything. At first, it might seem kind of frightening because we think, oh, that panic is too intense. No, the story is intense. At first, yeah, it might feel a little intense because we're just not used to going and experiencing this raw, dynamic quality of our mind. Our society, most of us have very demanding jobs, require us to think a lot. Even what the so-called, dumb jobs aren't so dumb anymore. They require pretty high level of cognitive ability going by, historical standards. So and many of us live in cities, and it's something about the nature of city life. It's just always pushing us into our head. So here we want to come down into our body and just feel how we feel. Just give ourselves the permission, the space, to have the courage and the self-love. Feel how we feel. So thank you. It was nice to be able to share this. And I look forward to, when the situation changes, coming and meeting everyone in person. I'm going to leave you with one or two thoughts. The great sage Shantideva from ancient India said, I'm just going to paraphrase him, why worry? If there's something you can do that can help, then you should do it. But if there isn't, worrying won't make it better. But the good news is that we can do something. We can listen to our body. We can feel how we feel, and let the radiance of our own wisdom nature guide us. And of course, follow the advice of the healthcare professionals. Stay safe. I'm going to read my one prayer of aspiration before I leave you. May precious bodhicitta arise where it hasn't arisen. Where it has arisen, may it not wane, but further and further increase. That's my wish for all of us. I look forward to one day meeting you in person. Thank you for spending time together like this, and be well.